Hey, great Thursday evening. It is an early thingy today, guys. Still waiting to see when we're going to get the invite to the show. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I received a message from the show. They said Roy said that he wanted to make a little opening statement, so I wanted to give you the opportunity to do the same. I'm not exactly sure why I need to do an opening statement. Again, I was asked to come out on a show at 7 o'clock. Still have not gotten an invitation to the show. So we'll see. Wow, the drama. Well, I don't get it either. I don't understand why they wanted me to do an opening statement. I just have no clue. Let's see if I can get this on. See if I can get this going.
This is kind of like a thing that I'm kind of like over. Okay, so
boy.
yeah, our local church. Well, it's not local. It's one of the local churches, the biggest one here in town. It's called First City or City First, or I can't remember the name of it. But it still is a Pentecostal church, and it used to be in the Assembly of God churches, but I guess it got bought out. Anyways, I don't know. Anyways, today they had a
I don't know what's going on. Guys, we're going to wait a little bit. Let me see if you have any questions or any concerns that you want me to address directly with Mr. Dos Santos. We'll go that route first. Good evening. Good evening, Snoopy. Good evening. And I'm being soon. Royal, one of I was asked to address issues with Mr. De Los Santos. And if you know me, I gladly address anything that I'm asked to address. So that is one of the reasons why having the 7 o'clock show again. eh, I hope I'm not interfering on anyone's showtime, but not used to coming out at 7 o'clock. But again, people ask me to come out on shows, and I most certainly agree. Akinina, good evening. Hello, Erasmo. Wow, the drama. We'll see. Like a disclaimer, I guess. Start your own show. Good evening. Might as well do that, guys. Good evening. Good evening. Opening statement. Now, you're not the one running. Yeah, I don't understand, but makes doesn't make any sense. But I'll give you a chance to shine. Good evening, David. Good evening. Good evening, Charlie Brown. Let's see what this wine bag Los Santos has to fart out his pie hold. Woo! Address the facts that he said that Brownsville in downtown is not stagnant. He said that the other night. That's one of the good things that we could surely CBCB. We could surely address that one. Uh, Got it. Anything else that you all want me to address? Erasmo can come on anytime he wants. Royal approved. Love you, Papa. You're stepping all over. Sounds like a trap. Let me say, I'm your Huckleberry. I'll go on any show anytime. And I made mention of this on my show, guys. Guys, I'm willing to come on Charlie Atkinson's show if he still has a show. I'm willing to come out on anyone's show as long as they're a little bit respectful. I think sometime back there was a group that was, yeah, Roman sent me a good opening statement. Guys, there was a show page back that was an anti-Erasmo page. Actually, probably still has the anti-Erasmo logo or theme on it for some reason. It's okay. They asked me for an interview, and I said, sure. And I sure as heck did have an interview. No issue whatsoever. Good evening. Good evening. What exactly can we, the public, ask or expect the city commissioners to do for us? That's a great question. Again, I'll do my best to ask questions that I feel are concerning to our community as a whole. Good evening, my brother David, mama, and good evening. Good evening. Squash the drama. Life too short to have it. I'll do my best. Good evening, Joe. Oh, good evening, mama. And okay, thanks for being the voice. Thank you, mi amor. Love you. Quesito mucho handsome like always. Thank you. It's true. I feel like this is a way for Los Santos to address your audience and try to get votes. I don't know. He could have just come out on your show. We'll find out. I think one of the comments that he made, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, was that I was a Jerry Springer to Manny's Phil Donahue. But okay. Ask him where are your top 5 pizza stores in Brownsville. So is he to defend all those he wants to speak for? That's a hell of a task. So if he is to defend, we'll see. It's going to be interesting. Can I have a flag for the chess community that we're recognized as Chess City of the United States Federation? Why are you on now? Because I was asked to do an interview of sorts at 7 o'clock. So they've stated that it wouldn't be till 7:10. So I'll click back on at 7:10 to see if we're still going to be on. He also said Noel Bernal is working hard for the city manager. Noel Bernal. City manager. Good. Where was Noel Bernal during the recent flooding? Nada que ver. Pity party copycat is getting old. I know. How exactly can we hold those in charge accountable? It's just said, but nothing happens. Hold M accountable. Good job. What exactly is he doing for District 3 traffic? Let's see. RGB and company, aka Charlies, are great at twisting things to appear as victims. I should know. Yes, I don't even think that they're around much anymore. We'll see. Can you ask De Los Santos if he prefers Vienna or Earl Campbell's? I think that's a loaded question. Hey, Yara, hermosísima Yana. Santos Cuz is on that show as well. As someone who's commenting, should be interesting. See if it is our time. Let's see, guys. Appreciate your patience with me. It is 7:10.
I'm going to pop in, and we've got one. Bam. I'm going to say, see you in a couple hours. If you're lucky. 3.5. We're still doing a show tonight at 10:30, y'all. So we'll see you then.
Yeah, unless I happen to fall into Nappy Town mode.
Bam, we'll be back, and Bam, we'll talk to you in a little while.
Yeah. Unless I fall into Nappy Town mode.
Yeah, I'll call you.
Okay.
Go take your nappy right now.
Well, I'm not ready for Nappy.
All right, here we go. Now we're ready to go.
All right, later, guys.
Okay, buddy.
I'm not ready for Nappy.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Now we're ready to go.
Hey, Manny.
All right,
And I do mean Erasmo and Roy, not me and Bam.
I appreciate being called a gentleman.
How you guys doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Everyone, thank you. Welcome to the show. I'm not gonna call it an event. It's not like it's not a brawl or a fight or anything like that. And Erasmo Castro, Roy de los Santos, thanks for making the time. And hopefully we can get some things cleared up, answered, addressed, however you want to say it. Roy wanted to start off making a little thing. You ready, Roy, or do you need some time?
Hang on 1 second. I'm gonna grab my little notebook.
Gotcha.
Notebook.
Notebook.
Maybe I should have gotten a notebook too.
At least have one, right? I got a notebook. Right?
Well, let me flip through my pages.
There you go. Those are notes. Hey, as long as they're
I
notes.
know it's a napkin that I'm going to use for my mocos.
All right. Roy wanted to open up with a little something.
So yeah, I just wanted to thank Erasmo for agreeing to come on your show, Manny. You know, I'm a big fan. I think this is my 5th appearance on your show. It's always been a great format. But just really wanted to try and open up, setting the tone for the night on what my expectation was when I suggested this. And this came about because on the last show, some folks asked, now that Erasmo is not in the runoff election, if I'd be willing to go on his show. And I expressed my feelings about that. But I'm always willing to sit and talk with Erasmo. And especially because folks have expressed, and I'm in agreement to a great extent, that when you've got people who want better for our city, you can get a lot more done working together than fighting one another. So I think, if both of us have good intentions for the city of Brownsville, I think if we can find some common ground and start to work together, I think that's going to be a great thing. We've got very different styles. I'm more facts and figures based. Erasmo's already got an established following. He's got his base of followers and fans, and that's a fantastic thing. And to me, I just think when we've got the trust of the public, whether it's as part of a show like this, and that includes you, Manny, that, we have an obligation to be honest and factual with our listeners. So I'm looking forward tonight to being able to have a good conversation with Erasmo. And hopefully by the end of this evening, we can start working together on things for Brownsville. And I'm going to turn off the lights behind me real quick so I don't have that bad lighting.
Gotcha. Go ahead. Erasmo, you need a couple of minutes for anything? You want to say anything here also?
No,
or not? You don't have to.
No, I appreciate being invited. And again, is one of the things that I've stated regularly is I do never shy away from an invitation. I don't do the party crasher thing too much, but when invited, when invoked, Satan will appear. or Jerry Springer, either one, whichever one you want to call.
Jerry Springer or Phil Donahue, right? Who knows? You never know.
I like Phil.
Okay, let me figure out which way to do this better here. All right, well, we can start off with whoever, if there's a concern or something or topic that you guys wanted to throw out there. Erasmo, you might have a list of things you want to go over or not. I'll leave that up to you, to whatever you want to address.
I don't have a list of stuff. Let me make this very, very clear. Guys, one of the things, Mr. Los Santos, again, congratulations on being in the runoff.
Thank you.
One of the things that I truly believe in is I truly believe in the electoral process. And, voters have spoken. One of the things that I did share right after the primary was done, if we want to call it that, was that, guys, more power to y'all. Hopefully both individuals in District 3 race have the opportunity to go out there and express their desires for the district and for the city of Brownsville as a whole. So I made that very, very clear because I didn't want, and it wasn't because, I desperately want individuals to come on my show. It's not that type of show. One of the things that I have shared and made very, very public is, Mr. Los Santos, my platform is your platform. And my platform is Jessica Puente Bradshaw's platform. It's anyone's platform that wants to come on and express what their ideas are, what their goals are, and things of the sort. One of the first things that I did make mention after it was decided that we were not going to be in a runoff was that, guys, I am not going to be out there rooting or promoting one candidate over another candidate. And Mr. Santos, you and I every single time that we met, I want to believe that I've been very respectful to you.
You have,
And
yes.
100%.
We've always said hello, been very cordial in public. to each
Very,
other.
very, very cordial. And again, now, do we disagree on some things? 100%. And we could share some of those disagreements today and the direction of where the city of Brownsville is going. We could share those today. But one of the things that I specifically highlighted, especially after, is that, guys, I was not going to be a part of, well, this is the candidate that I want out there. And I'll give you an example. When I ran for mayor of the city of Brownsville, it was one of the first things that I did. I did have Tony Martinez and Pat Ahumada, both camps, wine and dine me and say, hey, we want your support in this race. And back then, I told them exactly as to what I made mention after this little primary. Guys, I'm going to let the voters decide. I'm going to let the voters decide. Now, if anyone, but one of the things that I do have is I have my opinions on some matters. And that's, I think, where we are going to possibly not be in agreement. It doesn't mean that, oh, well, I hate Mr. De Los Santos or I hate Jessica Puente Bradshaw. It doesn't mean that at all. I mean, every single time I've met up with Commissioner Ben Neese, I've been very, very cordial, shook his hand, gave him a hug even, which a lot of people from Jessica Puente Bradshaw's group were like, oh, why are you hugging him? I go, like, because, guys, you don't understand. You don't understand what running a race is all about. And for me, it's not personal. It's more like business, And, I'll sit down and have a cup of coffee with Commissioner Benny's, despite the fact that during the race that we had, despite the fact that, he came after me. And, in a little bit of an offensive way. And more power to him. I mean, that's up to him. But even so, I don't hold it against him. I'm not going to be out there like, oh, he's going to be the worst. And again, Pedro Cardenas is a friend of mine. But again, guys, it's their race. It's y'all's race to run whichever best way y'all think is beneficial to your campaign. And again, I've opened up my platform and said, guys, you're welcome to it. Because I do have the largest social media presence platform here in the city of Brownsville. People may not like the fact, but it's a given fact. But with that said, guys, if you don't want to show up, that's fine with me too. I have in no way as to express support for one candidate over another candidate. And trust me, Mr. De Los Santos, I don't plan to, because you have to throw your platform out there to convince me, because I do live in District 3. Mm-hmm. My family lives in District 3. That's your job. Now, in regards to some of the things, I mean, if you want to go over them, some of the things that I am in disagreement with you, I can. But because if this is the reason for this, I will surely share them. And
I definitely want to do that. Let me say before we jump into that, Erasmo, first, please call me Roy. We don't need to be formal. I mean, we've seen each other in public enough. I think we're both well known enough in public. Yeah, let's all be friends.
You got it.
And the other thing I want to say was I'm very thankful that you've continued to be active, because I know at one point you had said, if I lose this election, I'm taking a 1 month sabbatical. You're not going to see me again. And I would hate for this runoff to be happening. And because you've got the base you do, your followers not have anywhere to go to get their information for this period of time. So I'm very glad you're not on sabbatical for the month. I'm glad you're out there every day still doing your show. Thank you for that.
I appreciate. Well, I did go to Mexico City for a week.
Right, except for Mexico City.
He broadcast from there. I saw him. He was broadcasting from Mexico.
I did go to Mexico City, and I did go to the volcanoes. I am going to Cabo San Lucas this next week, and I will be in Guadalajara the next week. So that's what I meant in regards to taking sabbaticals. one of the things that you know this, when you're out there campaigning, you do your best not to go out there and not to leave the city too much because you got work to do. So
Yep.
I was pushing forward a lot of my little excursions, a lot of my trips till after the race. And that's where my sabbatical comes in. But one of the things that I've promised my community, guys, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. One of the things that I think is very important is, and we've been talking about it recently, is the clear as the understanding of what government really truly is. And I think that's something that's very foreign to a lot of the people here. And we could go into some of my concerns. And I'll start off with, if it's okay, I'll start off with my number one. Something that I ran on. One of my first priorities. Every time we went to a forum, Roy, you were at most of them. Yeah, you were at all of them that I was at. And
just the one at the Veterans Park, I missed that one because I had a meet and greet that night.
That's right. Well, that's where I got mistreated by Commissioner Gow and Commissioner Benitez, but it's okay. I forgive him. But let me say, one of the things that I ran on and I find concerning is the way that the boards and the committees are set up throughout the city of Brownsville. And I'll share one of the comments that I've made on my page, on my lives, in regards to your service on them. Congratulations on being, I think, is it 5 different committees, 5 different boards?
It is 6 different boards. 4 of those are in the community. 2 of them are city boards.
Perfect. And let me say, that is one thing that I'm against. I've been very open about it. I don't think that one individual should be serving on multiple boards and committees. And that's just my belief, my ideal. I think the structure, the way that the boards and committees are set up, they don't really necessarily service the entire city as a whole. And I'll give you an example. When we were seeing some presentations in regards to filling up GBEC at one point back, I would say maybe 3-4 years ago, we found that there was no representation from individuals in District 1. And there were no. I think there was one representative. No representatives from District 2. Most of them were from District 3 and from District 4. My concern with that is that no one from District 1 was seated on the board. Oh, I'm sorry, it was PUB. On PUB from that area in order to share their experiences on at their part of the town. And the way that I saw the committees in policy procedure, the way that they had been set up originally, was that each different district was going to have at least one representative on these committees, on these boards. That's what I wanted to do. I still want all these committees, all these different boards cleaned up and actually have representation from every single area of town. With that said, I mean, are there not individuals in a town of 190,000 individuals in the city of Brownsville? I mean, is there no one else that could have filled in those spots that you hold, being that you have six seats? Is there anyone else that could have served on those? And that's my concern. That a lot of times, a lot of certain individuals get picked on. I mean, I'll share another one. We have a lot of individuals that are sitting at the PUB board right now that we're housing and development, and we're in this other board. Well, when is anybody else going to get a chance or an opportunity? Because I've seen the lists of individuals who have applied, who have requested to be on these boards. They've never been given an opportunity or a chance. When is their chance to be on a board?
No, and let me say, I agree with you as far as I believe every sector of the city should be represented. That's something I've always been a big proponent of. And I always take staff to task, and they're much better about it now than they used to be. But for several years, I'd see reports come out showing where members like myself, which district we lived in, and the information was wrong. So the city commission couldn't even make an educated decision about which district needed representation on a board. It's gotten much better. My compliments to the staff for that. But we still have an obligation to make sure we keep them on their toes and that their information is accurate. And I know I was talking today with several members of the LGBTQ task force because I've committed that if I'm elected, I will step down from the boards at Camille Playhouse from the LGBTQ task force and from the Board of Adjustment. And on the task force, I am the only representative currently from District 3. I know the at-large commissioners and the mayor appointed folks from other districts. So if I step down, I'll leave a void for District 3, and we'll need someone from the district. And I know, Mr. Castro, that you had applied to serve on the task force back when it got started last year. So there may be an opportunity for you again in the future. But yes, I agree. And as far as are there others who could serve? Yes. But some of these boards are specialized. And that's what's important. And let me qualify that. There's a lot of boards in the city that are advisory. Absolutely any citizen can serve on. The Board of Adjustment is something that is very specialized. It's a quasi-judicial board, and it has to do with interpreting state statute and applying the law to the rights of citizens. When I first joined this board, and let me tell you the reason I joined this board. The reason I went after this board in particular was my father-in-law at the time. He's now my ex-father-in-law. He does drafting work for architects. And he had been to the Board of Adjustment for a variance for a downtown business that was building an outdoor patio, and it was on Elizabeth Street, so that way they'd have some place to sit for the parade route for Chowder Days. Because there's not a lot of space downtown, this new square footage would have put them in violation of their parking ordinance, of the number of parking spaces they need to have available for their square footage of customers. And so they needed a variance. The Board of Adjustment granted the variance. My ex-father-in-law and the business owners went back to the business to start working on the timeline for construction. While they were doing that, a member of the Board of Adjustment shows up at the business and says, "Hey, we just granted your variance. Aren't you going to buy me dinner, buy me a drink, something?" That's what made me go after this board in the first place. When I got on the board, I realized how bad it was. The vast majority of the board members and alternates were absolutely unqualified. And part of that is the fault of staff. Staff was giving them bad advice. That goes all the way up to the director of that department at the time. That goes all the way to the city attorney's office, the attorney who was assigned to that board at the time. They were giving every board member bad advice. And that's a violation of due process, because this isn't an advisory board. This is a board that applies the law. The city manager can't override the decisions. The city commission can't override the decisions. Only a court of law can overturn decisions from this board. So when it's a specialized position like this, or when it's a position that's governing over millions of dollars of taxpayer monies, I think it's very important that we just not say, is there anyone else who can do it? We need to make sure we've got the most qualified people, because we've seen too many instances, and I think you'll agree with me on this. We've seen too many instances where people are there for their own self-interest and not for the well-being of the public. And so that's why we've got to make sure we've got the most qualified individuals that don't have any conflicts of interest out there, no personal agendas and no personal interests when they're going after those boards. So yeah, I agree with you. Better representation, better vetting process. And I would encourage any citizen who's interested in serving on a board, every time I apply, and it's not often, but when I apply for a board, I email every member of the city commission individually, most especially my commissioner for my district and the at-large commissioners and the mayor, since they cover the city as a whole. I would encourage citizens to do that as well. And even if it's just every now and then, reach out to your commissioner when you've got issues in your area of town. That way they start to see your name and realize you're a citizen who's engaged and paying attention. And then when they see it come up on the list of applications, they'll say, I know this guy, he pays attention, he's active in the community. And I think that will help improve your odds of getting an appointment to boards if you're out there as a citizen interested in that.
Well, I mean, again, I just don't see why an individual would want to serve on so many boards and committees. And again, even on these specialized ones where there's, maybe legal matters to deal with. And I agree. We need to have the most qualified individuals on there. We do have a lot of students that are graduating that are interested in going into law school. We have a lot of attorneys out there that I know that are regularly applying for different boards. I mean, maybe it's a good opportunity to give them. Again, my concerns is that we've seen the same people over and over and over again. And I think it comes a lot because there's just a great amount of apathy in regards to individuals wanting to be a part of the process, because it goes back to they feel that their voice isn't being heard by individuals. And that's not your fault. I mean, you're just a board member right now, or a committee member. I think it goes a little bit further than that. And again, it's just I really, really wish that individuals would be focused on, revamping these boards and these committees to where it provides a greater opportunity for a lot of our students, a lot of our young folk, is that to be a part of the process and be a part of the community in some way, shape, or form. Again, that's just my hope and my desire, because one of the things that I've heard from a lot of folks is that we don't even know what the hell is going on, and I agree. Contact your commissioners regularly. Contact your mayor. I think that again that's not your fault either. I think part of the problem is that a lot of folks reach out to these individuals and feel that they are not being heard in any way, shape, or form. But
And
again,
I think a good solution to that, and I'm going to call on both of you for this because both of you guys have audiences. And God willing, if I'm serving as commissioner for District 3, I think the three of us should work together and hold some sessions like this, whether we do some in person or all online, but so that citizens specifically who are interested in boards, we can have mini seminars about these are the different boards. These are the ones that have positions coming up. These are what these boards do. And if you'd like more information, I know like for the Board of Adjustment, when I joined that one, there was no orientation, there was no training, there was nothing. I wrote an entire training deck and submitted it to the American Planning Association for approval and got approved. And now they've got a much more formal process. They're hiring outside attorneys who are specialized in this area to do the trainings because we need to make sure these people are trained right. But I think starting right here, and if there's anybody else in the community who wants to work with us on, let's reach out to those pockets, especially like you say, District 1 is very typical to see no applications coming from District 1 in some positions. And my compliments to Commissioner Golonsky, because I know she's working hard to change that. We can target those districts where we feel they're being underrepresented, and we can go out and find community leaders, or like Mr. Costa, like Erasmo says, students who are up and coming in those areas. And we can be some of the mentors that help groom them and train them and get them on these city boards.
So I'm going to jump in and ask again, because Erasmo did ask, and other fans or viewers or residents of Brownsville have asked so many, why did you feel it necessary to serve on so many boards?
That's a great question. And honestly, I did not feel it necessary. City of Brownsville, the first time I ever submitted an application was mid to late 2015. So it's only been within the last 5 years I've been doing anything as far as the city board goes. The longest service is Sombrero Festival. And I came into Sombrero Festival just as a favor to a friend of mine who was president that year, and that's Mr. David Musso, because David's originally from Louisiana, does not speak Spanish, is not fluent, and we were real involved together in other nonprofit organizations locally. And he said, would you do me a favor and would you just hang out and be like my assistant and handle any Spanish questions, Spanish interviews, whether it's newspaper, TV, radio? I'm like, sure. And as I hung out with the organization and started to look around at the operation, I would ask questions, got to know how it worked. And I felt one of the areas that we're very weak in was marketing. And that's my background, that's my specialty. I said, I've got an idea, I want to pitch it to your board. I pitched it to them, and we went from, back in those days, they were bringing in about $30,000 a year in corporate sponsor money. 2020, the corporate sponsor commitments were $270,000. That's just sponsor money, and that's part of what allows us to keep gate prices affordable, beer prices low, things of that nature. So that's why I've stuck with Sombrero Festival, but we've also grown it. We've got 80 officers there, 30 board members, and about 500 volunteers that make it happen. So it's not that demanding on my time. Same thing with the Mitty Foundation. That's one of the boards I'll stay on. The Mitty Foundation is based in Austin, Texas. And the Mitty family, after having worked with me locally, because I was a representative to the Mitty Cultural District for Sombrero Festival, they recruited me to join their family foundation board because they wanted representation from Brownsville. Because all of the other board members are from different parts of the country, except now the Mitty family has relocated and they live here locally now. Texas Southmost College Foundation, that's another one we've got full staff. They handle the day-to-day operations. As a board member, I come in and help with some fundraising, help with events coming up, help spread the word. But I'm not doing day-to-day stuff with the Texas Southmost College Foundation, so it's not a big demand on my time. Camille Playhouse absolutely needs a full-time board president, and that's why I've committed to that board to step aside if I'm elected commissioner, because I would not be able to do the position justice. And the LGBTQ task force and the Board of Adjustment, because I don't believe city commissioners should be sitting on city boards. I believe the commissioners should be the check and balance against those boards to make sure those board members appointed are doing their job. And if they're not doing their job, removing them and replacing them with someone who will. So, I mean, that's why I've done these boards, because I've been recruited for most of them, or I felt I had something to offer that they were lacking. That's why I did it. And whenever it gets to the point, like with Sombrero, I'm not chairman of the board. Olga Gonzalez is our board chair, and she's fantastic. Camille, I'm about to step aside there. I've never been president of the board at TSC, at the MIDI Foundation. I don't ever anticipate that being the case. I was chairman for a brief term on the Board of Adjustment, and then stepped aside when we had someone who was very qualified, and the board's been operating well above board. And with the LGBTQ task force, I've never sought a position as chair or vice chair or anything like that. Just a regular member.
And it has been said that you were founder of the LGBTQ task force. Any truth to that?
No, and that's an understandable misconception. Because I'm as vocal as I am and outspoken and invisible in the community, I think that's where a lot of people immediately lean to. But if you go back and look at the records, this board was created by the city or authorized by the city back in December of 2019. And you look at the minutes, and Manny, I sent those to you from that meeting of the city commission. It lists in the individuals who got up and spoke to lobby the city commission to create that task force. I'm not among them. I was not at that meeting. Then in March, the first round of appointments happened, and 6 of the 7 positions were filled. But I also sent you the packet from that meeting that shows you the list of everyone who had applied. Roy de los Santos is nowhere on that list. It wasn't until March of 2020, when 6 of the 7 members had already been appointed, that I first noticed this is what was going on. And so I said, you know what? District 3 is the one position that's still vacant. I reached out to Commissioner Munguia, and I was very frank. I said, I'm on enough boards already. I'm not saying I want this, I need this, please give it to me. I'm just saying, if you've got someone more qualified, by all means, appoint them. We just want to make sure District 3 is well represented. If you don't have somebody you feel is more qualified, then I'm willing and available. That's all it was. But yeah, I don't feel the need to have a long list of boards on my resume. I'm proud of the ones I serve on because I'm very selective. I've turned down a lot of boards over the years because I don't have the time. And I don't think you should take a position if you can't do it justice. And I've lived by that motto all my life.
Well, again, I'll continue to share my concern. I hope that in the future, the city commission, I mean, whoever is on there, works to clean up these boards and committees, and to be a little bit more on the inclusive part.
Agreed.
In regards to bringing in more individuals, especially a lot of our most talented individuals. And also is to, maybe limit the amount of boards that individuals can serve, to give other individuals who may be interested in opportunity. And I've got like 30 minutes, and I'll go through some of, I think, the concerns that were shared to me in regards to something that y'all had mentioned on y'all's show, and I'll address some of them. And again, we can disagree, and I don't mind.
It's not personal, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't hate an individual because I disagree with him. Look,
Right.
one of the things that I've made very, very clear on my platform, on my show, and on my page, I'm a huge supporter of the LGBT community here locally. Huge. For some reason, I know that there are some individuals that Erasmo's homophobic. That is 100% not factual at all, in any way, shape, or form. I have my very conservative views in regards to many of the things, but in regards to an individual's rights, yearns, wants, and desires as an individual, as an American citizen, and as a Texan or a citizen of Brownsville, more power to you. I'll fight to represent, and I'll fight to protect, and I'll fight to promote. One of the things that I've been very, very passionate about is Kimberly. When Kimberly, Kimberly has.
And thank you for that.
And I continue to stand. I've been to every single vigil. I didn't make this last one because I was on my sabbatical. But with that said, again, I think I've shared enough with the family that my heart is with them, and I will do anything and everything in my poor power to help in any which way. And I don't think that the city's resources have been used to the greatest extent in order to find answers to the questions that not only the family has, many of our community members have, not just the LGBT community, but our community as a whole. We want answers to what happened, what went wrong.
And there's still no information on that at all whatsoever.
Nothing. And it's upsetting. It really is upsetting. And it is probably one of the things that that upsets me the most in regards to my time someone who has been out here promoting things. With that said, y'all discussed the pride flag, and let me say, guys, again, I feel that anyone and everyone should have the right to wave any and every flag out there. But my opinion is my opinion in regards to it waving on anything that is governmental or city property. I don't think it is the place for it. And y'all mentioned, I think I received a clip that, oh, it was inclusive in that sense. I don't feel that it is. And one of the things that I also shared is, again, it's my opinion that no governmental building out there should be waving the Blue Lives Matter flag. And,
Yeah, but it wasn't the actual pointing at the finger at you. It was more
yeah,
people were saying Roy is the one who wanted to put the pride flag all over the place.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I never made that attack on Roy ever said that, oh, this is his stance. And you mentioned something about the that you had been one of the promoters of the LGBTQ task force. I never said that either, because despite
No, actually you did. There was a show you did with Jessica. She came on your show after one of our forums. You guys said, let's look at the facts. Roy is one of the chief architects, one of the co-architects of this task force, and one of the founders.
That came from her. It didn't come from me. I said, okay. The truth of the matter is, Roy, I have no knowledge of it. And I don't share something as fact unless I feel that there is something factual to it. But with that said, my personal opinion, and again, it's just my opinion, and I'll address this. My personal opinion is that the only three flags that should be out there waving in any governmental office here in the city of Brownsville, again, American flag, Texas flag, and city of Brownsville flag. That's just a thing of opinion. Again, it's nothing against you as a candidate or you as an individual. Again, anyone and everyone could wave any and every flag that they want out there. Again, more power to people. Again, I am a constitutionalist at heart, and I love my Constitution, and I love the opportunities granted to every citizen in order to express their wants, their beliefs, their yearns, their desires. More power to people. But I never came out to say that, oh, well, he was the one that was on the task force. If Ms. Puente Bradshaw made mention of that, again, I can't control what the opponent states or does not state. I had no knowledge in regards to. But with that said, will always fight for anyone's right. Again,
and definitely, I'll agree. I've never, and I would never try to cast you as homophobic. Yeah. I've never seen anything to indicate that to me. But yeah, I think we do disagree on that, because with regard to like just the flag, for example, I'm absolutely a proponent of, our men and women out there in blue, our men and women out there in red. I would absolutely advocate for the blue line flag flying at designated times throughout the year, the red line flag flying at designated times throughout the year. When it comes to, these are the men and women who put their lives on the line every day for our safety as a community. So I absolutely would be an advocate for that. And I know there's citizens out there asking for that, and I would support that. With regard to the equality flag, I think the umbrage I had was just people saying, well, that divides the city. When it's a flag that's about inclusivity and equality and everybody's equal, I'm hard pressed to see how that divides the city. And then to the question of, well, on city property or on a government building. And if we're constitutionalists, let's take that to its core. If you've ever watched, and I know you guys have all watched city commission meetings, every meeting is started with a prayer. And now I'm a Christian. I taught catechism. I did my sacraments growing up at Christ the King. I taught catechism at St. Luke. My relationship with Christ is very strong. But if we're constitutionalists, then why is every city meeting being started with a prayer? And why are we putting that out over the internet? Or why is that okay, but it's not okay to just fly a flag that's something symbolic without spreading it out in the world out there? Is that not a double standard if it's fair and equal for everyone? And also when we talk about the right to peaceably assemble, First Amendment, the public lands, public spaces, public parks, those are the areas where citizens are allowed to exercise those rights, because I can't go into your front yard and take opposing views to what you believe in and what you feel without your permission. 100%. But public property, we're allowed to peaceably assemble and peaceably demonstrate. And so with regard to the flag last year at the Convention and Visitors Bureau, That's public land. And the city gave its blessing. And I think in part because of the message that this is just saying that everyone is welcome in Brownsville. Everyone's included in Brownsville, and we don't discriminate against anybody. It's definitely not intended to divide us.
Well, no,
in my opinion.
Again, and I respect your opinion. Again, my opinion continues to stand. Again, I don't want any other flag because, and I've made mention this again. My platform, my stances I've shared on my page, and I'll continue to share them, guys. Then we're going to have to, be waving a different type of flag every other day. And again, it's just if you do it for one, you're going to have to do it for another. And I'll give you an example. When I was on the BISD board, they were coming out and saying, "Hey, let's give Hope, that prayer group, let's give them a discounted rate at the Sam Stadium." And
I remember that.
I fought against it. I stood up against it. I said no, and people were surprised. They said, "Erasmo, aren't you a minister at church? Aren't you a preacher at church? Don't you believe in prayer?" I said, "You better believe I believe in prayer, 100%. I mean, I'm in the wrong business if you're not believing in prayer. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be okay with a church group getting the Sam Stadium at a discounted rate, which later on we learned was another one of the tranzas from Sylvia Atkinson. That's a story for another show.
And thank you for taking that stand.
But I took the stand,
That's good.
and the comment that I made, and which I got ridiculed for, was what's going to happen next week when the Church of Satan asks to rent the Sam Stadium at a discounted rate too. They say, "Oh, that's why you can't compare one to the other." I'm going like, really? Really, guys? If you do it for one, you're going to have to do it for everyone. And again, it just becomes too much work for a lot of individuals out there. And again, let me say again, I love all flags. I just want the three flags. My opinion on these things. The other comment that they shared with me that y'all had made was in regards to Six Flags Over Texas, but only three flags over Brownsville, bro. But let me say that the other comment was in regards to Brownsville being stagnant. And I'll elaborate a little bit on my stance in regards to Brownsville being stagnant, because that is one of the things that Commissioner Ben East threw my way. Like, well, Erasmo saying that it's stagnant. Like, first of all, I didn't say the word stagnant didn't come out of my mouth. Stagnant came from the forum, Roy, that we were in with the CDCB, and I think I got that one right. CDCB. I'm always doing CBCB. CDCB. The CDCB, if you remember, they were the ones that shared us these graphics, which they were asking questions from, where they mentioned that Brownsville had been stagnant, and I concur. And the amount, it was being in reference to the median in regards to the income. I have the chart here with me right now, but again, it's not a thing. That's where my word stagnant came in. Now, when I refer to stagnant, I say that we're not growing at a rate in regards to business popping up, new things coming to the city of Brownsville, as they are for other cities throughout the valley, such as McAllen, such as Edinburgh, such as FAR. I mean, I come from Monterrey every other week because I go regularly, and it really pisses me off to see Top Golf in FAR. FAR's a rancho, man. FAR is a rancho. They got Top Golf. We got taco stands. And I say that jokingly, and the people are like,
we've got some of the best taco trucks. We've got some of the best taco restaurants.
We got some of the best tacos in the world. But I say that jokingly. People are like, that's what you're just. And I said, no, I'm not. Again, I just want great things for Brownsville too. And one of the things that I've shared, and I shared during my race, and I'll continue to share. One of the reasons why I disapprove so greatly in regards to the job performance of our current and our previous commissions and commissioners, elected officials, is instead of adding on or growing to things, as we've been in a decline. That's what I mean by stagnant. And I'll share two examples. One of them is Camille Playhouse, and you're familiar with that. Camille Playhouse, they started a GoFundMe page last year, and again, my concerns are, why aren't we as a city protecting our gems? Because well, if you know anything about me, I am a patron of the fine arts.
Oh, yeah.
I one of the reasons why I was in Mexico City was so I wanted to visit the museums. I wanted to go out there to the pyramids because I love architecture, I love history, I love the arts, bellas artes. And I go to Camille Playhouses as often as I can. We haven't had the opportunity because of the pandemic, but it really hurt, that we had to get rid of a lot of our folk out there. A lot of great people. Now that I think that they're at St. Joe, which is great for them.
Yeah.
But again, guys, my concern is, why can't we continue to support and push forward that which makes Brownsville shine? And our fine arts are one of those things that make Brownsville shine because of the culture behind it and because of the art behind it. My other concern in regards to proving the stagnation and the direction that this commission and previous commissions have taken was the GoFundMe page for the zoo. I mean, come on, man. How is our zoo, one of the top 10 zoos in the country back in the 80s, one of the top 10 zoos in the country, how is it that they started a GoFundMe page to feed the animals? And, that's what really, really irks my chain and is evident that, we're not putting our resources in that which makes Brownsville shine. And this is where my stagnation comments come from, Roy. Again, look at our airport. Roy, I know you're a young'un, but let me say, Roy, I remember the time when our airport was the airport in the valley.
Way before my time.
Yes, but not before mine. But not before mine. But it was the number one. It was labeled Brownsville. Our motto was the crossroads to the hemispheres.
Right. Yeah.
The crossroads to the hemispheres. And then, again, we started to let everything sink. Why didn't we invest in our airport back then? The Amelia Earhart Airport, the Lindbergh Airport. Why didn't we have the vision to continue to invest in it? We didn't have that vision for the zoo either. And I'm not blaming this city commission for it. But again, it is evidence suffice to prove that we are stagnant. And I agree with the CDCB. Unfortunately, economic development hasn't been pouring into the city of Brownsville. We're very fortunate, Roy. Very, very, very fortunate that we've got SpaceX. And let me say, a lot of people may disagree with it, and I don't care for the gentrification either. And I don't care for a lot of the same concerns that a lot of the people of the city of Brownsville have. My concerns is that the current city commission, the current county commission, they're going to bend over backwards to do anything that Elon Musk wants. And that's concerning to me. That's concerning to me because
we need balance.
Yeah, I want Brownsville to shine. I want Brownsville to shine because it's Brownsville. And we are the seat of the county. We should be the star of the valley. Should be. But we're not because we're stagnant. And I'm sorry, people will say, Erasmo, you're always comparing McAllen to trying to compare McAllen to Brownsville. And you can't compare McAllen to Brownsville because they got Monterrey money. Why can't we get Monterrey money?
We can if we do it right.
Exactly. Roy, come on, man. Look at McAllen announced 4 weeks ago, hey, we've got flights to Monterrey. Boom. You can't get a flight from Monterrey to McAllen. And then Harlingen says, hey, we got flights to Monterrey. And they had to even expand on it because they sold out like hotcakes, and going like, what the hell? And Brownsville? Stagnant.
Missed opportunities. There's lots of missed opportunities.
A lot of
one of the comments I saw come across the screen, and I wanted to touch on that because one of the guys said you can't serve 6 masters. There's only one master to serve out there. And that's, in my heart, that's Jesus Christ. That's the Lord God. And he tells me, serve the community, love thy fellow man. That's what it teaches. It doesn't say you can only serve the community here or only serve the community there. You can go out. and touch people everywhere. So there's nothing wrong with serving in multiple boards in multiple areas. There's nothing wrong with Erasmo being on the altar on the weekends and preaching to his congregation, and then being on the internet during the day, and he's got his fan base there, and being a candidate. If he were a city commissioner, would that be serving three different masters because he's a city commissioner and a pastor and a podcast host? No, that's not serving three masters. He's still serving the one master, and it's about right and wrong. He's just doing it in different areas. So it's not serving six different masters. That's not a good comparison right there, in my opinion. And on Camille Erasmo, and thank you for your support for Camille. Camille is a bit of a unique situation in that it's one of the entities within the Midi Culture District. It's one of the nonprofits, but it's also the only one that's not city property. It's not a city building. So there's some unique instances right there.
Yeah, I just want a lot of our funds to go for, to go again.
And the city is being very supportive with Camille, even though it's not a city building. They're being very supportive in how they're working with us, both to help keep up the place. We work closely with Parks and Rec and the city manager's office, and comms and marketing is helping us with promotion. And we just approved a new effort to collaborate more with the communications and marketing department and convention and visitors bureau for marketing Brownsville as a whole to outside areas in Mexico, in the US, but joint efforts.
Well, I just want that which makes Brownsville shine and can actually continue to enhance the opportunities for economic development in our area, to work on these things. And look, and one of the things that I've shared, and again, I've got like 20 more minutes, but I'll share these real quick. One of the things that I've shared regularly, and I almost every other day, is when you're, and look, I understand that at this point in time, things have gotten so out of hand that it's a lot more expensive to fix a lot of the things when they could have been nipped in the bud so many years ago, to whereas, we wouldn't be in the same situation that, we are now. It's just unfortunate. But again, it doesn't mean that we, throw our hands in the air and say, well, ni modo. No, we've got to find a solution for our zoo. We got to find a solution for our airport. I mean, now that we've spent $58 million, $52 million in regards to the terminal. Now let's start working on the runways, and let's start, working on bringing, airlines here to provide some service so that we can continue to generate revenue for our city. That's here there. The other thing I think that I've made mention, and I'll say this, is in regards to, I think, and I'll say this, I think that there was a sort of a little variance in regards to the support for the city manager, the mayor, the city commissioners, and all this stuff. And again, I'll say my thing. My concern is, where are they? And we could, to Tyler's and asking all these. My concern is, where are they? We have yet to hear from them, from any of them. And it's really, really, very, very unfortunate, because one of the things that I want to feel is that they are accessible, they are out there, they are constantly, informing the city of what is going on. And I think that my concerns with that, Roy, was that during the February freeze, we didn't hear from anyone until 3 days after. That
I agree 100%. I agree. The city was derelict in being upfront. This wasn't a tornado that sprung up on us out of the blue.
No,
we knew there was a winter wave coming. There's absolutely steps that could have been taken. I think we've even talked about them on this show, where we could have had agreements with BISD to open up schools. We could have put generators in strategic locations and opened up shelters. They're just so much better prepared. And yes, when we're talking about the $100 million plus that PUB had and isn't accounted for yet, that should have been in a more reliable grid, better generators for emergency situations. I'm looking forward to that audit coming back. And in my opinion, it's not coming fast enough. And I have serious reservations about whether or not I'll even trust what's in it when I see it, because there's other audits that I still don't trust and still want to get to the bottom of if I'm elected.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm probably not going to be very.
You're not going to buy it all
trusting
yep.
Because again, those are some of our concerns. And look,
Yep.
Commissioner Ben Nish ran 4 years ago, Roy. 4 years ago, I have his flyer. Ran on Tenasca. I mean, he made T-shirts. Bro, he made T-shirts with a circle and Tenasca all over it. He gave me one. I wore it. I think I still wear it every so often when I'm out and about. Guys, they've done nothing. And so close to election time, then all of a sudden, oh well, now let's effect an audit. And even then, I'm very, very skeptical in regards to the information that's going to be produced and the accessibility that's going to be given by the individuals that are running PUB right now. And I got into a tit for tat with one of the PUB board members. And,
I saw that with
Mr.
Lopes.
Tim Lopes. Tim.
Yep, I saw that. I saw your show that day.
And Tim knows I love Tim. He may be upset with me. I mean, I still consider him a friend. I like Tim, and I understand that he was like, oh well, PUB, and I'm more power to you. But again, we just want individuals that serve on these boards to be accessible to the point where they'll be forthcoming in regards to, answering questions. And when we ask questions, that they say like, well, we don't know. Well, what do you mean you don't know? You sit on the board. You're supposed to know. And again, a lot of the different individuals on a lot of these boards, they forget something that you mentioned. You said that you serve Jesus Christ, which is okay. I appreciate that as a pastor, but ultimately, individuals that serve on these boards and on these committees, they don't serve Jesus Christ. They serve the citizens of Brownsville, and they're accountable to the citizens of Brownsville. I don't care who appointed individuals to boards and committees. They should have a greater calling, because even when we're elected officials, we swear to the Constitution of the United States. And I'm hoping that a lot of these people that are appointed to these boards, they make at least an affirmation or a statement stating that they're out there going to serve the people of Brownsville as a whole.
And they take an oth of office when they get appointed to those boards. And keep in mind, when I said Jesus Christ, it's also the teachings of love thy neighbor and serve thy fellow man. And so, that's absolutely accountability to the people, service to the people. I'm just saying,
I was making it
it's
funny.
Not multiple masters.
I was making it funny. I know.
I know. And let me address. I know one of the concerns out there from folks has been that I've wavered on my position on issues.
I stated that.
And I don't think that's the case. I mean, I'd love to hear which issue you think I've wavered on. When it comes to commissioners and city manager, there are things I've absolutely commended them on what they've done, and that's because I see more of their work behind the scenes than the average citizen does. By the same token, I'll be the first to condemn them for things like the winter storm and the lack of communication, just even the updates to the people on what was going on. I mean, I do it both ways. I'm not going to say you're just bad, there's no good. I'm going to look at it and call it like it is. I'm going to talk straight, and if they're doing good in one area, they're going to get commended. If they're doing bad in another, they're going to get condemned for it. But please let me know what issue if you think I've changed my position on an issue. Let me know which one.
And it wasn't necessarily an issue. And I'll share my comment. The comment that I made was that I felt that throughout the campaign, it sort of went like, oh yes, I'm supportive of the city manager's office and the city manager and the job that they're doing. And then it sort of went to, well, maybe not so much, and then shifted on the way back. But again, that's just the way that I measured it. Again, I can't say like, well, these are the facts that show that this is what happened. This is just more of a feeling. But again, my stance in regards to the city manager's office and the city commission, who ultimately oversees their budget and oversees their job performance, their job duties. My concern is, we're paying $1 million a year. The city manager's office, $1 million, and it's probably a little bit less, but let's say $1 million to the city manager's office. We just want to know exactly what their job duties are. What do they do for the citizens of Brownsville? And it seems that we don't have that information. My other concern was in regards to all these consultants that that we're hiring. $1.5 million, and look, Roy, this is my concern. You've got these individuals that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars at the city manager's office. What are they qualified to do?
No, I agree. Back in 2007, the last time I ran, that's when the big issue was the impact fees. And it was the Black and Veatch study. And these consultants had been paid thousands of dollars. And I'm like, number one, this study that we paid thousands and thousands of dollars for, the citizens are concerned that our rates are high because other people aren't paying their fair share. But that study that we paid for said the citizens' rates needs to go up. That was one of my big problems with it. Number two, I said, why are we hiring consultants? If there's anyone at PUB making six figures, and we know that there are, why don't they know how to do that? This is a simple algorithm. Is we want to build X, it's going to take so much money. So much of that can come from the public, from the utility itself. So much can be passed along to developers and contractors. You just plug in the numbers. High school students who are good at algebra could do this math, but we've got folks making six figures who had to hire outside consultants. That's absolutely concerning. I think it's wasteful for taxpayer money.
It's crazy.
Now, I've been saying that for 13 years now. I agree with you 100% on it.
It's crazy. And look, I'll give you another example. Every 2 years, we go out there and spend $150,000 on marketing. $150,000.
Yeah.
We did it back when we did the logo. I don't know if you remember the logo change. That was horrible.
Oh yeah, igniting the future.
Yeah, horrible.
Yeah, I remember that.
I replicated that on my PowerPoint. I mean, literally replicated it on my PowerPoint. Going like, I just did the same thing. Can I just get 10% of the $150,000?
And you know what bothered me about that? I remember when there was a big pushback from the community about it and spending that much money on it. And I know it wasn't just the design; it was the campaign also. But I remember one of the city commissioners made the comment. And it was almost like dismissive to the concerns of the public and saying, no, this is good. I know because I've got an MBA. And I'm like, I've got an MBA, but guess what? Even before I had an MBA, I could have told you don't need an MBA to know if it makes sense to spend that much money on a graphic or a logo. And that's why I like Whistle Metal Festival. There's years for our t-shirt designs. We just open up a contest. Let people who are talented in the community submit your designs. And we'll choose our favorite. And if you're willing to let us use it, we put it out there and run a campaign with it. We didn't have to spend $150,000 to have somebody design something for us.
Yeah, we could have easily given us.
And I know you're pressed for time, Erasmo, but I did want to touch on one thing. And this is just, I know you're passionate about this subject. I'm passionate about it as well. But it's one that I think needs some fact checking on. And I want to open with a story because I was involved in the Elks Lodge for many, many years. And back when we had the Elks Lodge on Ruben Torres Boulevard, 802 and Country Club Road, right in front of the ICC. And organization was struggling. The property and building was appraised by the county, was appraised at about $350,000. Later that year, Lowe's came in and bought part of Crooked Tree and built a Lowe's right down the street from us. And as the head of the building foundation at the time, and as one of the officers of the Elks Lodge, we capitalized on that. And that property that had been appraised by the appraisal district at $350,000, we were able to sell for $1.3 million. And I'm very proud of that. And I bring that up because I know Casa de Nylon is a big one for you. And I don't disagree with you to some extent on it. My concern when I talk about the fact checking is when we're talking about the $2.3 million, that wasn't just for the Casa de Nylon building. That was for half a city block, part of which is the Casa de Nylon building. But when we say that this acquisition is only appraised at $600,000, $643,000, I think is the figure. That figure is specific to just Casa de Nylon and not to all the property that was part of that acquisition. So one, I think we just need to fact check that out a little bit, make sure we're representing it the right way to the public. But also, like I said, from a real estate perspective, one, state law, any one of us could have filed a lawsuit and undone that deal if there was not an appraisal on record from a licensed appraiser to justify the number, because it's against the law to pay over market value. So an appraisal had to be there. And like I said, with the Elks Lodge, a $350,000 appraised by the appraisal district sold for $1.3 million. And that's because the people out there who wanted to develop it saw the value and knew what they were going to do with it and said, yes, this property is absolutely worth that amount of money. Yeah. So it has to do a lot with who's selling, who's buying, what they're buying for. I think if we were buying these buildings to tear them down and put up a parking lot, absolutely not. Yeah. But I know that was part of a larger deal to try and keep the University of Texas engaged in that section of Brownsville. So I can understand where some of it comes from. But yeah, my reason for bringing it up is just the fact checking of the 2.3 being for just the Casa de Nylon versus half a city block.
And I'll respond to that. It's very, very simple. First of all, there's only one person that benefited from this $2.3 million. And that's what the biggest concern was. The individuals that benefited from it is that it seems that I guess they own 75% of downtown anyway. And I'm just throwing out a number. I don't know if it's exactly 75%. That's where my concern is. Second concern is that we were lied throughout the process in regards to the Casa de Nylon building, that half a block that was sold to the city of Brownsville. because supposedly the reason that we were also in wanting to get that property was because Dr. Julieta Garcia, who was president of UTB TSC, it was going to be one of those caveats to keep them there. Come to find out, when we actually paid Galangsi $2.3 million, because he's the one that actually benefited from the sale of that property. Again, it's not so much the Casa de Nylon. Part of the problem with the Casa de Nylon building is, it could have been half a block of downtown property, but you always look at the sore thumb. That's the one you look at, and the sore thumb downtown, besides El Jardín Hotel, which we don't have to get into tonight, Casa del Nylon building. I see it right there all the time. It's that sore thumb that's there that they have done absolutely nothing with. Nothing. And we always get, look, Roy, we always get promises from these folks. I mean, we had promised that it was going to be City Hall. It was going to be city building, city offices. And people at the city offices were up in arms. I know I received a lot of complaints like, Erasmo, please help us. We don't want to go there because of the asbestos. It's an asbestos-filled building with lead. And I said, guys, what can I do? Second, they said it was going to be a training center for the fire department. And the fire department said, like, what? Like, and excuse me? Really? And then it was going to be, and now they're saying that it's going to be this hub entrepreneurship hub. Which one is it? First of all, Roy, my concern with it is that they've lied to us throughout the whole process. That's more concerning. We did pay $2.3 million. Was it a bundle deal? Maybe. Was it to keep UTRGV here? No way, because Dr. Julieta Garcia said herself, y'all are crazy. I will never set foot in that building. I mean, it's on record. She stated, I will never set foot in that building. No way, Jose. And that's when they changed the caveat to say, like, you know what? Let's go down and give them Lincoln Park. Let's give them something to keep them here. But they definitely did not want Casa de Nylon. And again, it might, maybe the whole half a block. But the only thing we see is how it is being used today. And it's not being used as city offices. It's not being used as firefighter training. It's not being used for entrepreneurship. I don't care what they say. It's not going to happen. What it's being used for is for two purposes. The homeless that live under the awning, and the individuals who, use the wall to rest upon as they're waiting to donate blood at the plasma at the plasma center. It's the only thing that it's being used for at this point in time. But when I mentioned Casa del Nylon, it's not to deviate from the facts and to misinform individuals. It's just we've been constantly being lied about it, and I say lied about it because promises made, promises that haven't been kept. And again, only one individual benefited from those $2.3 million. One individual who's still, unless I'm mistaken, on the zoning and planning board or commission.
I don't know if he still is or not. I haven't paid attention to that board. I know he was.
It's like putting the fox in the hen house. I'm sorry.
And I'll agree with you that there's several things we've seen with this city where they say XYZ is going to happen and it never comes to fruition. So I tend to agree with you that I don't believe it until I see it. Until it's actually happening, then I'll believe it, because we've seen those promises fall through too many times. And on that note, I think one of the things that's important is when we talk about tax abatements or anything else, to whether you're talking about luring a company down here or whether you're talking about helping an existing company expand, the benefits of any type of an abatement should not come until they've delivered for the citizens. If they're saying, I'm going to create 500 jobs, well, guess what? When those 500 jobs are there and you're putting out payroll of $75,000 a year to each of those positions, now your abatements can kick in. Not we give you abatements now and you might give us jobs 5 years from now. That's not the way it should work, because we've come out on the short end of the stick far too often when we do that. We've got to change the way we think and do business in that respect for economic development. And yeah, just not look at outside. Look at how can we help the local machine shops, the local business owners expand and do the manufacturing and create jobs that are good paying jobs. It doesn't always have to be somebody from the outside.
100%. And again, that's where my $2.3 million for the Casa del Nylon. I always say Casa del Nylon, it's Casa del Nylon. that's where my comment of the Casa del Nylon comes. It's just the frustration that I think that a lot of individuals. But part of the problem
and
is,
I agree. I understand where you're coming from, and I know you're passionate about it. Like I said, I'm just the facts and figures guy, and that's what I'm like. Well, the 2.3 to 600 is not a fair comparison because it's one parcel versus the two parcels.
Well,
but I know where you're coming from.
but let me say, I don't even think it's valued. It's worth $600,000. I mean, that's just
No,
not.
I checked it today. And I sent copies of the appraisals from the appraisal district to Manny.
Oh, yeah.
And it's 643 for the Casa de Nylon and 300 and something for the other. The parcel that the city bought for 2.3 is on the appraisal district records today for well over $1 million. And like I say, just like the Elks Lodge, 350,000 we sold for 1.3 million. And that's because on the open market, anybody who's been in real estate knows. One, everything is for sale. It's just a question of price. And two, what it's worth is not what your realtor or an appraiser tells you it's worth. It's what somebody's willing to pay you for. Because if nobody's willing to pay it, it ain't worth it.
And that's exactly my concern, that the city commission under Tony Martinez, Rose Gowan, and these folks, they bought a piece of crap for $2.3 million that we will probably never be able to use. They've tried. They failed. They failed us then. What's to make us believe that they're going to not fail us in the future? But again,
they're going to have to prove us wrong or prove themselves right because, I'm not going to hold my breath waiting for it to happen. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah. And, one of the other examples that I've shared is, again, look at how many promises we've received. And again, I know that right now housing is working on the El Jardín building, and they're supposedly they're going to do the housing out there, low cost housing. Good luck, good luck to the city of Brownsville. I just don't see it happening, and I'll start to believe it once it starts to, to be a reality. I just, it gets to a point, Roy, where you stop trusting a lot of the things that these individuals start saying, because it's one thing after another after another. Part of the problem is, again, we have to remind people because people tend to forget. We've had Tenasca, $135 million. God only knows where they went. Titan Tires, the bridge to nowhere. We've got one thing after another, after another, after another. Yep. And then new commissioners come on, and a new mayor takes the seat and says, hey, guys, no, we're going to make sure we give you the information. No, guys, we're going to be, proactive in things. We see absolutely no proactivity from this city commission. And I'll give you this last example. Just 2 days ago, we had every single city in the Rio Grande Valley being proactive in regards to the winter storm that was coming, to this freaky storm that was coming.
The rainstorm,
this freaky storm that was coming. Every single county in Rio Grande Valley, every single municipality was out there being proactive. And thank God that we didn't need sandbags. Well, very few people probably would have benefited from sandbags. But I want a city commission, I want a county commission that is proactive to the point where other individuals, have to follow our lead instead of us being left with nothing. We didn't hear from anyone, Roy. We didn't hear from the mayor. We didn't hear from menos from the city manager or anyone in his office that are earning $1 million a year. We heard from no one in regards to the storm, not one single city commissioner. And that is infuriating. And
I can't disagree with you on that. I know I've heard some citizens talk about there were sandbags being given away. I think I heard it on the show last night with Manny and Bam, but I can't say that, I heard from the city that, hey, this is what we're doing for this storm that's coming. Or this
you would think that you think there would be announcements on TV, radio, social media, plaster all over the place. Get your sandbags, be prepared for the storm. None of that stuff. It was just silent.
Yeah,
it was like if nothing was happening.
It was like if nothing was happening. That was my concern. And again, those are my concerns with the city manager's office. $1 million, and I just don't see it. I don't see it. And I'm sure that a lot of other folks don't see it as well in the city of Brownsville. But again, I hope that with this new city commission that, hopefully will start late June, if not sooner than that, we get something a little bit different. But again, this isn't our first rodeo. Every 2 years we get politicians that make a mess of promises, and we get very little for those promises actually kept. But guys, I have to go to my sister's house because she's going to give me a piano, and I like free stuff.
Do you play?
No, of course not. But
I've always wanted to play piano, but I've never had the time to learn.
But I like free stuff. And hey, when it's free, it's free. And so one of these nice ones too. So I'm going to leave you guys. I appreciate the invite. And again, Roy, I mean,
and Erasmo, just for the record, so that everybody's aware out there, there's never been a time where you've said, "Hey, Roy, come on my show," and I'm like, "No, I'm not going to go on your show." We've never had that discussion.
One of the things
never happened.
No, one of the things that I've said is you have an open. Anytime you have a chance, you just send me a message. Hey, man, I got some time tonight. More power to you guys. You're always welcome, and I've extended that invitation to everyone, to Jessica, to Ben Nees, to who's that other guy? Pedro Cardenas.
No, Pedro.
Okay, Pedro. Sorry, Pedro.
Pedro Cardenas.
Pedro Cardenas. But it's an open invitation. Again, guys, one of the things, and the only reason, Roy, that I don't go out there and say, "Hey, Roy, you want to come on my show?" Oh, you guys. The only reason I don't do that is because, again, guys, I'm going to separate myself a little bit from the process because I want you all to run a good race. And look, the last thing that I want any candidate out there is to think like, I actually had a candidate, and I'll share this real quick. I had a candidate walk into my office this afternoon, says, I'm running for this position, and I said, hey, more power to you. I said, will you please not bash me? And we're like, what the hell? I don't even know you, but I appreciate that, I guess. But look, one of the things is like, I truly believe in the electoral process. I believe in it. I have faith in it, and I want two candidates to duke it out in that ring. And I want that the platforms be shared, promises made, but more than anything is I want them kept, of course. But with that said, I'm going to let the voters decide. And again, my social media platform, I am the king of all local social media. It's just it's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. But my platform is your platform. It's Jessica's platform. It's Pedro, and Commissioner Neese. Come on and share your platform. Again, I don't think I've ever been disrespectful to any other candidates. I expressed my views, and perhaps to the point that a lot of people find it offensive. But hey, if you're in politics, you know that you are in the kitchen, and you're going to have to take the heat. And
absolutely.
And like I told the individual that walks in my office, if you're timid now, wait till you go out after your opponent. That your opponent goes after you. If you cannot take the heat, please stay out of the kitchen. Stay out of the kitchen. But no, Roy, honestly, Godspeed, man.
Thank you.
Godspeed. I am anxious for you to pitch your case to be my commissioner, because again, I live in District 3, and I want to be truly represented at the commission by my city commissioner, something that I feel that I did not have as a resident of District 3 in the past 4 years. Again, that's my sentiment, and the sentiment of a lot of the individuals out there. So again, you have a month and a half. More power to you, man. My prayers are for you and for every other candidate out there. And again, anytime y'all want to come on the show, you want to come on the show with Jessica, without Jessica, you're welcome. And again, the only reason that I'm not out there, come on my show, is because again, I want to step aside and let y'all do y'all's thing.
No, I would encourage you to host a forum. I know Manny's going to work on coordinating a forum for us here as well, and I know there's other groups out there trying it.
Good.
But I think these forums are very healthy because you guys have different bases. There's some overlap, but some of you guys have your own unique followers, and it's important that everybody hear from the candidates and get to make an educated decision when they vote.
Yeah, I know Erasmo's got to run. Listen, I appreciate you coming, and
thank you, Erasmo. We're going to take some of the audience questions.
I don't know what people were expecting, but if you dudes could talk all the time, you, Roy, Erasmo, and even Jessica, I mean, you guys have some powerful minds right there with a lot of capabilities. Can you imagine when you guys work together doing stuff? You get accomplished so freaking much. It's not even funny.
That's right. Let's have lunch soon, Erasmo. Let's talk.
Yeah, shoot. And let me say, I appreciate those words, Manny, but let me say, one of the things that I'll say this, whoever wins the District 3, I will be your servant. whilst you serve our community. Whoever wins. Same thing with District 4, District 2, District 1. I am your servant. And I make that promise openly to the point that as long as an individual is out there serving the community, more power to them. And again, I one of the things that I think people think is that, oh, Erasmo just wants to come out and point out the negative part. No, man, I want to come out and do everything is peachy keen in the city of Brownsville. I want to come out and do that because, again, and you can vouch for me for this, I'm a patron of the fine arts. And as a patrons of the fine arts, we look at beauty, at every single performance and everything. We look for it. We yearn for it. We want to squeeze it out of a bad situation, even a bad performance or stuff. We want to focus on the good. Unfortunately for us, there's just too much of the bad going on that needs to be taken care of. And anyone that says, well, everything's good, if that were the case, we wouldn't have people running for office. And the reason why we have multiple candidates running for positions is because they feel that they can do a better job than their predecessors. If it wasn't the case, then we'd let them stay in office. Well, not anymore, right? But we'd let them stay in office for as long as they wanted. But Roy, again,
hey, 2 quick points, Erasmo, before you go.
Yeah.
2 quick points. I wanted to say thank you because I did not start talking about bus stops until you started talking about bus stops. I was not aware that was a big issue. So thank you for that because I know how important that is now for the community. And the other thing I wanted to say, and this is subject to Manny's approval, of course, but I've already committed to Manny because we've heard from people that these politicians are out here and then you never see them again after the election until it's time for re-election.
Yeah.
And I've committed to being out there, being accessible in public, face to face, but also I've told Manny I'm willing to come on his show, whether it's immediately the same night of every city commission meeting and answer questions from the public on how we voted on things, or whether it's the next business day, whatever it is. And anytime that you're free, if you want to join me and Manny for something like that, I'd say you're more than welcome if Manny's up for it.
Absolutely.
I appreciate y'all guys. Thank you so much. And Roy, good luck, man.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank
and
you.
Let's do lunch soon. God bless
Yes.
you all. More power to you all. Thank you, Manny, for the invitation. I am.
Have a good night, Erasmo. Thank you so much. Roy Dos Santos, thank you again. You
Well,
guys.
you and I are going to
guys-
stick around. We've got some questions to answer from the audience.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that. But
Let's
you
do that.
guys, again, Erasmo, before you go, you guys can do a lot of crap together, man. A lot of good stuff can happen here.
Oh, I'm not opposed. Again,
Talk more, man. Talk more. Definitely. All right, Erasmo, have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. That was the forum that they set up. Oh, yeah, Marie. Let me say, one of the things that I've shared and I'll continue to share is I'll work with any and everyone out there that is a beneficiary. Guys, I am out. I've got to go to my sister's house. I'll be back at 9 o'clock for a quick wrap-up. Just a quick wrap-up. Say hi. I will be doing it from my home. Guys, God bless. Take care. See you at 9 o'clock. Bye.